on, guys? Welcome back to this week's episode of Outside the Arena with Rob and Griff. I'm Griffin Senek, joined by my co-host, Rob Goldberger, and we are back once again, another week down. A lot of crazy stuff has happened for sure. March Madness still ongoing. Today, we're filming this on Saturday. I'm assuming this will come out on Sunday. So today is the first day of the Elite Eight, but we've seen the Sweet 16 occur. And, that was a very crazy round. I think it's no one predicted this would be the Elite Eight, that's for sure. Obviously, St. Peter's has been doing their thing. Other teams, Miami, UNC have played pretty well. So we're going to talk about that. Obviously, Tyreek Hill this week was traded to the Dolphins. We're going to talk about that, what the outlook is of the outlook after the trade is like for the Dolphins, also for the Chiefs, obviously. And then today we're going to be doing our second mock draft of the year, full 32 teams this time with trades. So that's going to be very exciting as well. So we've got a lot on schedule, but we will start off with March Madness, the tournament. And I think, did I share? Which thing did I share? Which thing do you see right now? You see the March Madness?
Yeah,
okay,
just
perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's
Is this the women's?
That's the women's bracket.
Unfortunately, we are not going to be talking about the women's bracket today. We're going to be talking about the men's bracket, and we kind of got to touch on most of these games. First game that we'll talk about, though, Arkansas Gonzaga. This was some would say there was definitely some element of a ref show involved in this one, but this was a big win for Arkansas. This program, I believe this is now back-to-back Elite Eights for them. Just a very sensational job they've been doing. Gonzaga, Chet Holmgren, you see it. He played 24 minutes. This game fouled out early on. Rob, another year Gonzaga is the favorites, another year where they disappoint. What are your thoughts on the outcome of this game and just the Zags as a whole?
I think the reffing at the end, like you mentioned, was a little bit questionable, especially those last three fouls on Chet for sure. But to me, Drew Timme didn't step up. The stats looked good, but Jalen Williams, who is going to be, I think, a very, very good NBA player, is one of the best defenders in the country and can shoot the ball. This guy is legit. JD Note, obviously, 24 years old. He's kind of expected to do this, but he's still, one of the best players in college basketball. And listen, it's a little hard to get behind the Zags fraud narrative when they do have 2 championship game appearances in the last 5 years. But at the same time, their tournament results should definitely be way better than they are. I think last year they kind of ran into an unstoppable Baylor team. I do have to say one thing. I think you can't really you can make the argument that Gonzaga, they have an easier path to the 1 seed and this and that. But I think this tournament more than any showed us that, conferences aren't really that important. The Big Ten was considered the best conference in college basketball this year, along with the SEC. And those 2 conferences have, combined 1 team in the Elite Eight. So the ACC was constantly trashed this year. They have 3 teams in the Elite Eight. So I don't know if I buy that, but I think Gonzaga definitely has to start win that big game soon, because the jokes will continue and the stigma will surround the program, and that may discourage some recruits. I'm not really too worried about the Gonzaga program. They'll continue to be a 1 seed until the end of time, but I just think they do need to win that bit, get back to and win that big game soon. They had a great team last year, great team, and I think that's a team that wins a national championship in almost every year. But that Baylor team is just something special, obviously, with Jared Butler and Davion Mitchell. So I do think Gonzaga has, they've been consistent tournament performers, but they are a disappointment at the same time, which is kind of an anomaly almost.
Yeah, to be honest, the way, after the first 2 games, this isn't something that necessarily surprises me. Gonzaga really in those first 2 games, that first game against the 16 seed, that was a close game until, the final 10, 12, 13 minutes or so. And then they obviously blew them out from there. But a team like Gonzaga, you're not expected to be, held tight to one of these 16 seed teams. And then, their second round game, which I believe was against, who'd they play? Was it Creighton? They were losing for most of that game and down and it was a very close game until at the end, they obviously just pulled forward and barely won that game. This team really did not, perform too well in this tournament. Obviously, Chet Holmgren pounding out, I mean, really changed the course of this game. You know, you see it, he played 24 minutes. I mean, that just really, really, you know, was unfortunate for Gonzaga. But, you know, credit to Arkansas. I mean, this was a team that, you know, for the last 2 years has had some really good players. JD Notae, like you said, I mean, this guy's great. Jalen Williams, another superstar caliber player. I mean, this guy is, you know, those two combined are legit. And they've got a lot of good guys there, too. I mean, Trey Wade had a good game. Like, you know, you can see on the stats.
Trey Wade's a great. He's a very good player, and Arkansas basketball runs a great program. Ever since Eric Musselman has come in, I mean, he's really established himself as one of the best coaches in college basketball. They recruit extremely well. They produce NBA talent. Jalen Williams is going to be another NBA guy. So, I mean, I think it's you know, they're building potentially, you know, a dynasty to go challenge Kentucky down there in the SEC. So we'll see.
Yeah, and you know, we'll see what happens with Gonzaga. They're always good, obviously, but you know, Chet will obviously declare for the draft. I don't know. Drew Timme, I'm assuming is maybe going to declare too.
I'm not sure actually. I mean, I think he's only 21 somehow. He seems much older than that, but he's only 21.
I think it's because of how he looks. He looks old.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and I think he should have been so dominant for so long. But yeah, Drew Timme. I think I'm not sure whether he'll be there next year, but like I said before, the Zags will reload. They recruit another school that recruits extremely well. They'll win their conference. So
yeah, and they develop. I mean, some of these guys. So I mean, Drew Timme. I mean, I don't really know what star recruit he was, but I mean, I don't think he was anything special coming out.
I don't think he was a too coveted of a prospect coming out of high school.
Yeah. So I mean, that's just the thing. Corey Kispert, obviously last year was a great player for them.
I don't know about that, Griff. 43rd player in the country.
Oh, okay. So I guess I was a 4-star.
Yeah, 4-star.
I just didn't know, to be honest. So
yeah, neither did I.
I mean, Drew Timme will be first round selection. You think, right?
It's a good question, and I really don't know.
NBA. I'll be honest. The NBA draft is so weird because guys do well, but it's like they don't get drafted. Like
I don't know. He's not going to be a first round pick. Definitely, I don't think.
You don't think? Interesting.
I think it's kind of like a Luca Garza situation. I think.
Yeah.
Just because he relies on his footwork so much, Drew Timme, and like that's just not going to beat NBA centers. So
yeah. All right, the next game, Villanova Michigan. I mean, this one. I feel like there's not even too much to say about this one. I think Villanova is just the better team, the better coach team. They've got the better players, and I think for Michigan, I mean, they put together a nice run after a really tough season. Hunter Dickinson played well. Eli Brooks, has been good this season, but. This was just, I think this was just a case of this team, they won their 2 games, but they just met a team that was just too good for them. And, Villanova, good team. They're going to have a very tough test though today with Houston. That's for sure.
Yeah. I think this Villanova Houston game has a good chance to be, I think this is the best game of the tournament so far. I'm just going to say it. I mean, I think you arguably have the 2 best coaches in college basketball, and Jay Wright and Kelvin Sampson. What Houston has done this season is unreal. 5 losses the whole year, and their 2 best players have been out. The whole season they've been out. NBA caliber players. They're going to be even better next year if you can imagine that. But I gotta say, Griff, Nova's my pick tonight, and I know that's maybe a little bit of that Philly bias, but I think the experience and the shooting that they have on that team is unmatched. I think Colin Gillespie is probably the best player in college basketball right now.
Really?
Yeah, I think he's
over guys like Chet and
yeah. I think in college, listen, was Luca Garza a better college player than Scottie Barnes? Yes. Does that mean that Luca Garza will be better in the NBA than Scottie Barnes? No. I don't even know if Colin Gillespie is an NBA player. Fun fact: he's actually my neighbor, Griffin. If you didn't,
is he actually?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Pretty cool.
No way.
Yeah.
So you know Colin?
I don't know. I don't know if I would say I know him too well, but I think definitely he lives right up the street from me. So pretty cool. I've seen him shooting hoops, all that. So
that's awesome.
But yeah, I think this team is really deep, and Caleb Daniels is an elite player. I mean, this guy, the thing with Nova is their experience, man. These guys have all been there forever, and the way Nova basketball is run is just crazy. I mean, they're arguably the best run program in the country. 2 titles in the last 6 years. They're going for their 3rd in 6 years. Actually, they're going for their 3rd in 6 years right now, which is pretty crazy. They're a basketball powerhouse. I mean, I think I would say they're my favorites to win it all right as of right now. I think for me, I just don't think I actually picked them to win before the start of the tournament. I just don't think anybody else has the experience combined with the talent. And I think I mentioned it before, but Jay Wright, I think, is the best coach in college basketball. So I think the X factor for Nova is Eric Dixon, another guy who grew up close to me, went to Abington High School. It's the same school. So sorry, little tangent, but
Yeah, you good.
but Eric Dixon is the X factor for this team. If he can shoot the ball and if he can bang with the best in the paint, especially tonight, I think this team has a very good shot at winning the championship, and I think he's very capable of that. So
We will see tonight. Obviously, that is a big game. I need Houston to win, to be honest, for my bracket and to help me out here. But another game here. This one, I think a lot of people thought this might be Coach K's last game ever coaching, but the Duke Blue Devils and Paolo, they pulled through. They played a really good game here. They beat Texas Tech. I mean, Texas Tech at the end of this game. And I'm going to be honest, before this game, I hadn't really watched much of Texas Tech this season or in the tournament. I didn't realize that Kevin Obenar was, he transferred from Oral Roberts. I totally did not realize that. It's so funny.
No, Texas Tech is full of transfers, but Bryson Williams, number 11, was I think he should have been the Big 12 Player of the Year. He is serious talent. He's old, but he is serious talent. But for me, Texas Tech, they weren't bad in this game at all. I didn't think. I think they're one of the Mark Adams, their coach. It's his first year coaching. I think he's one of the best coaches in the country already. I just think it was tough because Duke didn't miss a shot the last 7.5 minutes of this game. You're not going to beat you can't win. You can't beat a team that's not going to miss shots. And Paulo and Jeremy Roach were the difference makers. I mean, you saw why a lot of people think Paulo should be the number 1 pick in this draft. He took over at the end of this game on both ends of the floor. I mean, he can make shots from anywhere on the floor. And Jeremy Roach, after losing his starting spot in the ACC tournament, has just completely showed up in this NCAA tournament. And he really took over at the end of this game. He had a couple clutch threes. Paulo really hit I think what was the clutchest shot of the game. And Texas Tech had some momentum. They were up 2, and Paulo sort of just hit a 3 to silence them. And I think, you saw why a lot of people think this guy should be the number 1 pick. I think these are 2 of the best teams in the country. I think Texas Tech put up a really great effort, but it's hard to beat a team when they're just not missing shots.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, Texas Tech at the end of this game, if I remember correctly, I think they just got cold at the end of this game. And like you said, I mean, Duke, they were just consistent. They got to the free throw line more. And
they had 49 points in the second half.
Yeah. I mean, you're not going to beat a team when they're that offensively dominant. And I mean, Duke hit the shots when it mattered most. And at the end of the day in this tournament, that's what matters most. But, Texas Tech, a really good basketball team. We'll see what happens with some of these guys, whether they're there next year or not. But, it should be a fun team to watch. And yeah, moving on. I mean, another 1 seed here losing Arizona to Houston. I mean, Arizona, a lot of people thought this team could win the tournament. They had a tough, I believe who'd they play last round? That was
TCU.
Hall
almost.
or TCU.
Really
TCU. Yeah. I mean, that was a very close game. And Houston in this game, I mean, I'm going to be honest, I didn't get to catch most of this game. I was unfortunately could not watch most of it. So, I mean, I'll let you break this one down. I don't really have too much to say since I didn't watch most of it.
I'm going to confess that I also didn't watch most of it, but I wasn't too surprised by the result. Like I said, I think Houston is one of the best coach teams in the country. I think that's what matters this late in the year, especially in college basketball, in the tournament. I think Houston just has guys that stuff out. And Tajay Moore I know that those 3 points are not is not listen. This guy is a star, Griffin. This guy is really good. And Jamal Sheed is completely stepped up since the injury to Sasser. I think Houston is very capable of winning it all. Even though I just picked Nova, but I think the winner of this Nova Houston game really is a good shot of winning it all. And I think at the end of the day, if you're gonna just switch it over to Arizona real quick, if you could switch over to Arizona.
Yeah.
Turbellis, who's been he's been a consistent player this year. Terrible. He was 0 for 8 with 4 he ended up being 0 for 8 with 4 turnovers, I think. these guys, besides Ben Mathurin, Benedict Mathurin is going to be an NBA player, as is Christian Coloco, but I don't really think Krisa and Tubelis had to step up to win this, to carry Arizona deep in the tournament. And, they're part of the reason why they only lost 3 games this year. But a lot of people saw this Arizona turnover problem coming. They really couldn't take care of the ball in the regular season, even though, like I said, they went 31-3 in the regular season, and it really came back to bite them again. They had 14 turnovers. They didn't lose the turnover battle too badly, but
they shot the ball bad.
Yeah,
33%. Can't win a game if you shoot 33% in the tournament.
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen.
Arizona just not good enough, and Houston is not properly seeded. Clearly,
yeah,
they're not
the 5 seed. Yeah, clearly. All right, moving on to the games yesterday, and this was St. Peter's. This is just pure insanity at this point. The thing about this team is they are legitimately very good, and honestly, I'm not even trying to say this, but they could win the tournament at this point. Like, they've beaten 3 very good teams, and I don't think there's any game that they're not in. This team, and honestly, this was their worst game of the tournament. Like, they did not play a good game. They did not shoot the basketball very well. 6 for 21 from 3. It didn't help that Purdue was also 5 for 21. But
look at that. The big stat there is their free throw shooting, and that's the sign of a well-coached team. 90% from the line in a game like this.
And then you look at the turnover battle. Purdue had the rebound advantage they had, but the turnovers were just
St. Peter's is stopping future NBA stars. Jaden Ivey is going to be a star in the NBA, and
he was a disaster in this game.
He was a ghost. Zach Edey, another star. These are 2 of the best players in the Big Ten all year long. It doesn't make any sense. Clarence Rupert for St. Peter's, I think he's a guy who, if Shaheen Holloway does leave and maybe St. Peter's does not return to this prominence again, he's a guy who I think could probably transfer to a bigger college. He's only a freshman, and I think he's one of the best players on their team. He had some offers coming out. He was offered by Georgia and Wichita State. So pretty interesting that he decided to go to St. Peter's, but that's what's awesome about it. It all paid off. A lot of these, you have guys like that, and then you have guys who, most of these guys only had, a couple offers. Darrell Banks being an example of that. He's maybe their best player besides Doug Edder the whole tournament. And Doug Edder is he's clutch, man. He's clutch. He doesn't miss those big shots. The thing about St. Peter's, we mentioned it on last week's pod, is that they're beating. I don't know how to make this sound, how this sounds, but they're beating these teams in a legit fashion. Like, they're not just shooting them out of the gym. They're their offensive sets that they run. I said it last week, but they're really good offensive sets. They are a legit team. I think, like you said, a team that does not rely solely on an unbelievable shooting run like St. Peter's. They only shot 30% from 3 this game, 35% from 3 this game.
They shot 28% from 3, but 39% from the field.
They didn't shoot the ball well at all. And it's not common. You don't see that often of a team that is going on a run like this. And I think that's the difference between them and even the Oral Roberts or the Florida Gulf Coast of the world. So I think it's really, really interesting.
Yeah, this is a game where if you told someone before the game that St. Peter's would shoot 39% against a team like Purdue, who is just so elite offensively.
Yeah, let me confess. I thought this was the game that St. Peter's run was coming to, and I'm not going to lie. I was a big believer in Purdue. I didn't know how they were going to be able to stop Zach Edey, but they did. Listen, all credit to St. Peter's, and this is one of the greatest runs, maybe the greatest.
It's the greatest run, yeah, easily. I think.
Yeah,
a 15 seed in the Elite 8. It's insane.
Yeah.
I believe they play UNC. That's going to be a good game. UNC has played very, very well. We'll talk about them in a second.
They've been playing some good basketball.
Last game was not their best, though. Even though they won, last game was. They
beat a
Caleb Love, though, is just.
Gareth, they beat a really, really good UNC. We can go to that game now. We can go over the
Kansas Providence. To be honest, I feel like there's not even that much to talk about. Providence was a good team. They came back.
Yeah, they did. I was surprised Providence took the lead late in the second half, but they did, and then. But that shows the dominance of Kansas. Guys like OJ Abaji and Bill Self is just an unbelievable coach. I think Kansas is going to be I don't know how pretty it's going to be if Kansas and St. Peter's end up playing.
Is that would be what it would be? Kansas, St. Peter's.
I know. I think that would be. I believe that would be the matchup in the national championship game. Next year. So I don't know about all that.
All right. Well, this game was, sensational. And honestly, in this game, the guy, obviously, Caleb Love, these last few games has been sensational. But Brady Manick, the guy who was really hot against Baylor, Brady Manick was, to be honest, a ghost in this game. Like, he was missing shots. And
harsh, Griff. He had 13-8. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, but he was missing big shots.
No,
he was
not. It wasn't the strongest game. Caleb Love, difference maker, obviously, shot after shot. But let me say, I'm a little disappointed in UCLA. I have to be honest.
They played well, to be honest, though. I thought this was their best game they played in the tournament.
They disappeared at the end of the game.
They did. You're correct. But look, they shot 45% from the field. The problem is you got 8 free throws.
They didn't make enough shots at the end of the game.
Yes, they went cold, obviously.
I think.
But, at the start of this game, this team was hitting shots. UNC was just matching them.
This North Carolina team is really good. They have a lot. They have NBA talent, and NBA talent is dangerous in the tournament. Like Caleb Love is that dude. Talk about a highly recruited guy. 14th, 27 offers coming out of school. 14th ranked recruit in the country. He's a 5-star. He's legit. He is legit, and he's going to play in the NBA. And I think Armando, that front court duo of Baycott and Manick, when they're on.
Baycott played well. I was hating on him last game, but at the Baylor game, but he put up a strong performance in this one, for sure. I think you can see why he's an NBA guy.
Yeah, for sure. I think this is a great tournament because any of these teams are truly capable of winning it. Only one seed left. I remember.
Except for Miami. I don't think Miami is going to win the tournament.
Yeah. Listen, Griff, though, I saw something. So Miami made the switch to this. They were bad, really bad the first 3 months of the year. And they make this switch to this small ball lineup. And they start averaging 90 a game in conference play. And they start beating the crap out of other teams in the ACC. I don't know. We'll see. Listen, Miami has kind of been running teams out of the gym, though, Griff. 2 games.
They have. They beat Iowa State's a good team, and they beat them bad.
They crushed Auburn in the game. Listen, we'll see. Because there's a scenario where you have 3 out of 4 ACC teams after the ACC is getting trashed the entire season, which is pretty crazy to think about.
Yeah, it is. It really is. This game, UCLA, they've not played great this whole tournament. You look at that game against Akron, it was kind of a sloppy win. St. Mary's, They did beat St. Mary's pretty handily. They put up a good performance, but this game, they shot well, but like you said, they just fell asleep at the end of the game, and I don't know what we'll see. Johnny Juzang.
They led for most of this game, so it's
they did. North Carolina, North Carolina, and the final few minutes, they were always kind of down. They would go down 5-6, but
yeah,
like you said, Caleb Love, this guy's just a difference maker, and once he gets hot, this guy's confidence is just insane. Like he would shoot any shot he took.
Yeah.
He would just get there and he would shoot. And a lot of them went in. He played sensational. And I think that's the thing about this North Carolina team is they've got X factors. Caleb Love right now is playing as good as anyone in this tournament. And I think it's a pretty safe bet that he's going to be playing well. He obviously had a bad first half, but you see how he recovered. But when they've got guys like Brady Manick, who, if this guy catches fire, we saw, they got a 25-point lead over a 1-seed Baylor team because this guy was hot. But because, if this guy is on the free, I think the greatest scenario of all time is if this guy's on the free throw line with the national championship in balance. Like this guy might be one of I'll be honest, his free throw shooting is it's hard to watch. It's really bad at times, but he's a good player otherwise.
Is it Ben Simmons level bad? Is it Ben Simmons level bad?
NBA, I think if you put him in the league, I think it's going to get there. But look, you see what makes him special, but his free throw shooting is just putrid. But this team, Leaky Black's a great defender. RJ Davis is he can get buckets. This is a really good team, like you said, and a lot of NBA talent. And I'm excited to watch them against St. Peter's. I honestly think it's going to be a very tough game for St. Peter's.
I think UNC it's crazy how the narrative flips. Because Griff, in early January, people were laughing at the idea of UNC as a tournament team.
Yeah.
And people were calling, obviously UNC had been a perennial 1 seed for a pretty long period of time in the 2010s. So
Yeah.
I think, that people were calling for the new coach's head, and he's really turned it around. And it just shows that NCAA tournament can flip narratives, baby, and they can flip them fast. So,
I mean, yeah, you see the St. Peter's head coach. I mean, I don't think there was anything bad against him, but I mean, that guy is he's
actually
set up for a.
Yeah, funny enough, he actually had like a pre-agreement with Seton Hall before the tournament even started to go there. So I think because he is a Seton Hall alum, and like that was sort of predetermined. So
We'll see. But I mean, do you want to talk about the Miami game or?
I didn't. I was sleeping for the SAT.
Yeah, I didn't watch most of it, so we'll just skip that. I mean, it's gonna be this Elite Eight is insane. It's gonna be super fun to watch. Obviously, Houston Villanova set to tip off in about an hour or so that's very exciting. I mean, what's your Final Four? You don't have to explain it too much, but who do you think wins these games?
Yeah, I'll take Nova, Duke. I'm going chalk here. I'll take chalk. I'm gonna chalk then. Nova, Duke, UNC, Kansas. So, yeah.
I think Houston is gonna pull it off. This tournament has just been so weird to me. I think we're gonna see Houston. I think it's Coach K's time. I think he's done. I think it's gonna be Arkansas. I think we're gonna see UN. I love St. Peter's. I want to pick them, but I think UNC is just gonna be it's too much. And then I'm gonna take Kansas. I think. I think that Duke game's going to be a very close game, though. I think that's going to
be. These games tonight are going to be awesome. So
very, and I mean, I'm definitely biased in what I'm saying for what I need for my bracket, but yeah, I mean, it's going to be fun, and we'll talk more about the Elite Eight Final Four on next week's episode. But with that, we are going to move on because I don't want this episode to drag. We still have to do a 32 team mocker, which is going to be that's going to take a bit of time. But real quick, Tyreek Hill. I mean, this was mind blowing. It kind of just happened all of a sudden. Now a Miami Dolphin. I mean, this is a situation now where Tua Tagovailoa is truly in the hottest seat in the NFL, and if he doesn't produce this year, he is absolutely going to be gone. But the Miami Dolphins. I mean, can you throw them? Do you think this team is a serious contender in the AFC, or with Tua at quarterback? You still think that they're not there? And then we'll talk about the Chiefs after that.
I don't have any faith in this team at all, being led by Tua. I think they're pretty elite almost everywhere else, except maybe that offensive line. But not with him at quarterback. Sorry. He doesn't move me. They're not going to compete with the big dogs of the AFC. They need a quarterback, and they're going to go get one after this year, and then they'll be serious contenders. That's all I got to say about it. And I like the move for Miami. By the way, I like the move for Miami for sure.
I think this is a team that honestly can probably make the playoffs, and probably might honestly. Because I think Mike McDaniel is such an offensive genius, and I think that what he's going to be able to do with guys like Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill, I think he's going to simplify it for a guy like Tua. But the difference is I just don't think Tua can go and win a playoff game. I think you can get a scheme for him that works, but it only works so much. I mean, we saw Jimmy G. He obviously won a few playoff games. That Packers game, to be honest, I think if the weather was different, I think they would have lost that game, if I'm being 100% honest. But we saw, I mean, Mike McDaniel, he can win playoff games with no matter who's at QB. He can simplify the system for bad QBs. And I think we'll see that with Tua. I think Tua will honestly, he will look good in the system because it's going to be one where, with guys like Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Mike Gesicki, I mean, this guy's going to be set up for success. If he's bad, he's just a horrific NFL quarterback, and he should never play in the NFL again. He should just retire because, I mean, this is like the ultimate dream for a quarterback, I think, is being in this system with Mike McDaniel and having these weapons. I mean, you saw what Mike McDaniel did with Debo, and now it's like he's got two Debos almost. I mean, it's crazy.
He's got two Tyreek Hills. He's got two Tyreek.
Yeah, two Tyreek. I mean, it's and Mike Gesicki. I mean, it's Mike Gesicki. I mean, he's not George Kittle, but you could say he's similar in that regard. Yeah, I mean, this is Mike McDaniel's in a great spot. Tua's. I mean, I'm excited to see what's going to happen. I just don't think Tua is good enough to really win playoff games. I think this team's going to be good. I just don't think Tua is good enough still. And we'll see what Miami does. I mean, I think, oh my God, I mean, if you put Deshaun Watson, let's say Miami traded for Deshaun Watson instead of the Browns. If you put Deshaun Watson on the team, that's a like a top 3 team in the NFL potentially. In all honesty, I mean, we saw the way that defense. I mean, Brian Flores isn't there.
I think if you put Derek Carr on that team, I'd be inclined to maybe even call them favorites in that, like not favorites, but they contend in the conference if Derek Carr was their quarterback. I don't think people understand how is Tua going to get the ball downfield?
I think they're just going to run a lot of short pass, which is what we saw with Jimmy G. Like Jimmy G didn't really get the ball downfield that much. Occasionally.
Yeah, but why are they limiting themselves to Tua? I would even draft a quarterback.
Imagine if this team drafted Herbert instead of Tua. Oh my God.
I don't even blame them for that, though, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm. It's obviously a hypothetical, but I mean, just imagine, man. Oh my God. But I mean, now talking about the Chiefs.
They probably don't even make that high. They probably don't even make the Tyreek Hill trade though, because he probably makes all their other weapons look pretty good.
Yeah, but I mean, let's talk about the Chiefs here. I mean, this is all of a sudden the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't know if I can say this team's even with Patrick Mahomes. I mean, it's so hard to say they're not the favorite to win the I mean, I'll be honest. I guess I'll still favor them to win the AFC West because of how good Mahomes is. I don't think I can say they're AFC favorites anymore, though. I think this offense. I mean, Tyreek Hill, he's a great player, but I mean, replacing him with Marcus Valdez-Scantling and Juju Smith-Schuster. I mean, I'm definitely worried about the Chiefs. What about you?
I'm definitely worried about the Chiefs. I'm definitely interested. I'm just very interested to see how that offense looks for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we're going to find – I'm not even going to say we're going to find a lot of things about Patrick Mahomes out this. We know Patrick Mahomes is the elite of the elite with or without Tyreek Hill. I think it's a matter of, whether the rest of the offense functions, to be honest. I think, how open is –
totally different.
How open is Travis Kelce going to be able to get? I mean, I think definitely – I understand why the Chiefs didn't want to pay Tyreek Hill, but, man, he is really one of the most irreplaceable players in the NFL. He really is. And I do think that I just think the Chiefs, I just can't count them out in the AFC. I think I'm just very interested to see what their offense looks like before I make a prediction about the team, because when you have a quarterback that good, I mean, this can be said of Rodgers, Brady, the elite of the elite, the guys who you will count on to win a Super Bowl. And I think this will be said of a guy like Joe Burrow in time, even, is if you have a guy like him and Justin Herbert as well, if you have a guy like him, you're never out of it. And I think that's the case with the Chiefs. So, yeah.
I mean, it's weird. I see a reality now where the Las Vegas Raiders could win this. I think the Chargers might honestly win.
Yeah, I would imagine the Chargers are the favorite.
They have done such a good job this offseason and still have a very prime first-round pick. I mean, look, the way Brett Veach is drafted recently, I mean, he hit an absolute home run with his draft last year. You give him 3 extra picks this year, 2 more in future years. I mean, this guy is set up to really hit big on some of these picks. I know they're late picks, but I think the Kansas City, scouting department and front office has done an incredible job recently. So I think they're going to do well in these picks. I think it's just losing Tyreek Hill is he's irreplaceable. He's not a guy you can just replace. And I think that they're going to try to replace him with guys like Scantling. And, I thought the Juju signing was great because I was saying after, their game against the Bengals, they just need more NFL wide receivers. But you take away Tyreek Hill and it's all of a sudden this offense is just so different. And it's going to be completely different this year. I mean, DeMarcus Robinson's gone. Tyreek Hill's gone. Byron Pringle's gone. They just signed Ronald Jones. I mean, this is going to be totally different. It's a complete overhaul on offense.
Yeah.
I'm very curious to see what happens. I honestly don't know if they're the favorites in the AFC West anymore, but like you said, you can't count them out. And I'm so interested to see what happens because all of a sudden I feel like all of a sudden their championship window is it's not closed, obviously, with Mahomes, but
No,
realistically, I don't think they can come out of the AFC right now. You lose arguably outside of Mahomes, 2 of your best 3 players, I think, in Tyrann Mathieu this offseason and Tyreek Hill. That's huge. I mean, that is a big, big difference. Brett Veach is, he's in a huge spot where he's got to draft well. I mean, he has got to hit on those picks. Absolutely has to hit on
that Clyde Edwards-Helaire pick. We talked about it before, but it just looks really bad.
I mean, what he's done in this offense, essentially. I mean,
they just signed Ronald Jones, so you'd imagine.
I know.
Yeah, so like you said, completely different offense. I'm interested to see how Juju plays next year, to be honest. I think.
Yeah. I thought he was going to really do well with Reek and Kelce there, man. I thought he was, but now all of a sudden it's
he has to be the guy.
which is not good for him.
I don't know. Maybe is Josh Gordon going to step up? He can stay clean for more than 3 games.
They'll draft a wide receiver, obviously, but
as a Browns guy, but Josh Gordon at his peak, man. That dude.
But he's not at it. Let's be real. He hasn't been.
No. Of course, but I'm nostalgia. I'm going into some nostalgia here.
Yeah.
He could have been the GOAT. He could have been up there with the GOATs if he had been able to. His 2013 season. Look at that. Look at his 2013 season. Crazy stuff.
All right. So with that, I think we will transition to the mock draft part of the segment. All right. So I think I'll start. I'll share first here, and we can go. We'll go. I think we'll do 5 picks in a row, and then the last one we'll just do. I mean, the last one I have like 10 in a row, but for start we'll do 5 picks in a row. Do you have your thing pulled up, Rob?
Yeah. I got it up.
Okay, sounds good. So mock draft 2.0. I think it went, but okay. Jacksonville Jaguars. Here we go. Their off season was interesting. Obviously, they signed a lot of players. They went out and signed or put the franchise tag on Cam Robinson, I believe. And I think we'll both agree with this pick that I'm trying to get my all right. We're just gonna have to click on it. It's Aiden Hutchinson for the first overall selection. I think this is chalk, like they say at this point. I think Aiden Hutchinson's going to go number 1. I think he's an excellent player, and I don't really think there's too much to explain there. Number 2, Detroit Lions. This is a fascinating pick for me. I think there's not a clear-cut player. I think they could.
I got a real surprise at this pick. I'll just let you know.
I kind of do too, to be honest. I wonder now if we picked the same player, but maybe not. I
think we might have.
But for my number 2 overall pick, I'm going with Trayvon Walker.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, Trayvon Walker. I think this team desperately needs edge rusher, if we're being honest. I can't see Kyle Hamilton going at this pick. I think after Jeff Okudah went at 3 and kind of the disaster, I still think he could be a good player, but that's been a nightmare for them. I don't think they're going to go for a safety. They need an edge rusher. Their O-line is pretty good, so I don't think they'll take a tackle. Trayvon Walker, I mean, this guy is just impressed. He was impressive all season. Obviously, it was a little tough for him to pad the stats with some of those beasts on the Georgia D-line. But, I mean, this guy in the combine was just sensational. You've only heard good things about him. I think his stock is through the roof. I think this guy will be the number 2 overall pick. Next pick, Houston. I think they could really use a defensive end. I just don't see them going with Kayvon Thibodeau here. So I'm going to give them Ikem Ekwonu. They now have 2 first-round picks, though, too. They had that Browns pick. I think Ekwonu is going to be the first tackle taken on the board. I think this guy's sensational. I mean, you hear everything. Good combine, good in his interviews. I think this guy's a sensational player. So I think he goes number 3. Number 4. There it says. There we go. Now the mouses or the keys are working. New York Jets. Already revealed it, but I think they got to take Kyle Hamilton here. I think they could go for a tackle here. Obviously, they do have that 10th pick. I just see them going with Hamilton. I think, he fills a big need. I think he is a, defensive superstar that I think the Jets, I haven't been on the train of them picking Hamilton, but I think they need playmakers. They need difference makers. I think they've, done a good job of building their lines and whatnot. I mean, they've got guys on both ends of the defensive and offensive line. So I'm going to go with Kyle Hamilton. I think he's a difference maker on defense. And then lastly, for the 5th pick for the New York Giants, this team needs a right tackle. They'll take Evan Neal. This is a match made in heaven, I think, for the New York Giants. A superstar player. He can go on the opposite end of Andrew Thomas. And this is a home run pick for the New York Giants. I think this is exactly what they need. And, they pick at 7 as well. So, huge for them. And I'll turn the ball over to you for your first 5.
Let me just share the screen here. Continue. Yes, continue. All right. So I am going to agree with Griffin here. I have Aiden Hutchinson going first overall. And like I said, this guy's stock has risen dramatically. And I think, I'm not so sure I understand it. We're doing a predictive mock draft, and that's what we're doing. I've got him going number 2 overall. the plugged in draft guys, all of them say that this is going to be the pick. Teams fall in love with intangibles, and maybe that's the best strategy. Josh Allen, Trayvon Walker to me is almost like a defensive version of Josh Allen, not the one on the Jaguars because he already plays defense. But if that makes sense, he's kind of he has a lot of the role tools, but he really is a raw player. But if it develops, I mean, he can be even better than Hutchinson and Thibodeau, and I think that's what the Lions are betting on. And I think they're also betting, like you mentioned, that a lot of his talent wasn't be able to showcase because he's playing alongside so many studs. Georgia, they're gonna have a few first round picks on that defense. So I'm gonna go with Trayvon Walker here, and then I'm actually gonna go a little different than you are, and I think KT's stock has been falling in recent weeks, but I've got him here going to the Texans. They desperately need an edge rusher, desperately, and I think it's pretty crazy that the first 3 guys in the draft I think are all going to be edge rushers, and I think it's almost for me. Sorry about that. It's almost set in stone. It's almost set in stone. I really do. I think the Texans are going with Thibodeau here. And I actually agree with you here, Griff. I have the Jets taking Kyle Hamilton. I think they need secondary. They need secondary help. Especially Marcus May is gone. Where Marcus May signed with the
He went to the Saints. Yeah,
Saints.
They
right.
did sign. The Jets did sign Jordan Whitehead though.
Oh, they did. That's right. But I still think they need help back there. A Sauce Gardner pick wouldn't surprise me here either, to be 100% honest. But yeah, I think Kyle Hamilton is going to be the guy. I think I've said it before. I think Griff has said it. We love Hamilton as a prospect. I think he's going to be maybe the best player in this whole draft. And I think, if safety was a little more valued of a position in the NFL today, he might even be in consideration for the number 1 overall pick. But number 4 is a nice consolation. And yeah, like you said, I think I'm sorry, ours are very similar except for one, but
yeah,
that's how it always ends up being, really around the top of the draft at the end of the day. So I'm going to go with Ike Ekwonu here too. I think he's sort of solidified himself as the top tackle in this draft over Evan Neal. And both of these guys are fantastic products, and the Giants are thrilled that these guys both fell to them. So yeah, I'm going to go with Ekwonu here.
All right. So with that, I'll shift. Why don't you go for your next?
Or
5?
do you want to go? I think you want to go.
You go for your next 5, and then I'll do 5. Yeah, that's fine. You go for your next 5.
All right. And I think the Panthers have the most obvious selection of the night here. If Malik Willis, I gotta say, I think Malik Willis is going to be. They're taking a quarterback here. But I was going through this before Griff, and I thought, do they like Kenny Pickett? Because I think they like Kenny Pickett. I do. I think there's been a lot of stuff about it. What do you think here? What are you thinking? I think between the Willis Pickett debate at 6 has been really crossing me up for a while.
I mean, I do not have a quarterback at this pick.
Really?
I do not.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with Malik Willis here. I don't know. That's to be workshopped later, obviously. But yeah. And then I think I don't like Trevor Penning falling out of my top 6 based on what's happened, but that seems to be what's happened here. So for my next pick, I'm gonna go for the Giants. Sorry, I got to scroll down, and I'm gonna go with Drake London here. Actually, I think he's another guy whose stock has been rapidly rising. And I think the Giants, talk about a team who needs a wide receiver. Yeah, yeah. And I think the Falcons go Jermaine Johnson here for me. I think they need another team that needs an edge desperately. And I think they have a lot of needs, but this is another guy, Jermaine Johnson, who a lot of teams like his upside. I think a lot of teams are they're very. I think this is a guy who's another guy who I think we could go way higher than where I have him right now. I gotta say, I think he's potentially going to be one of the top prospects taken. And then next year, I am going to take Trevor Penning for the Seattle Seahawks, and this is a guy who I believe can go in the top 5 to be 100%. To be 100% honest with you. Uh, a lot of people have had him over Evan Neal, Griffin, and a lot of these plugged-in draft guys, and that's who you got to pay attention to. I think a guy like Daniel Jeremiah is a guy who usually knows what he's talking about, and he had Trevor Penning at 5 in his latest mock draft. So I think there's a real chance that that's what takes place here. For this Jets pick, I think they'd be thrilled with a lot of these guys. They need help, I think, Griff. They just need some general overall help down there. And I'll toss it over you in a sec for this Jets pick. But I think, man, I'm going to go. I think I'll go with Garrett Wilson here. Be honest with you. I think they want to get Zach Wilson help. And I think they're pretty upset that they missed on Tyreek because based on the reporting, it seems like they were misled a little bit, a lot maybe. And they want wide receiver help, and I think they're going to go with wide receiver help with one of these two picks here. And I think Hamilton and Wilson for them in those top 2 picks is a hell of a haul. So,
all right, very interesting. I'll pull up. I believe this is my second mock draft. Here we go. Can you see it? Oh,
yeah.
You can see it?
Yeah.
All right, perfect. All right, number 6, Carolina Panthers. Like I said, I do not have them taking a quarterback. I don't know. I just don't think this team is I think they're going to go with Sam Darnold to start the year, if I'm being 100% honest. I think that this pick, they're going to go with Charles Cross, the offensive tackle from Mississippi State. I'm not as high on Trevor Penning as you are. I think he's going to go a little bit later. I think he's a great player. But I think Charles Cross goes here. I just think the Panthers need that offensive line help. That offensive tackle spot is just a nightmare for them. I think I don't know. I just don't have a feeling. I don't think they want a rookie quarterback, if I'm being honest. I think they want someone who's a little more experienced, even if they have to wait another season and try and find someone or figure something out. I think they're just gonna. I don't think they want to reset with a rookie quarterback with this current roster because they do have a lot of good players. They do have a roster that will compete if they have the right quarterback. So I just don't know if they're going to trust one of these quarterbacks at this spot. But this is my first trade of the day with this next pick, and I have the Pittsburgh Steelers trading up all the way from 20. I don't specifically know what they would give. Obviously, probably potentially 2 first-round picks for the New York Giants, who would trade back again, but they already obviously did select Evan Neal in this draft. I had Pittsburgh trading up, and I think Pittsburgh is just in love with Malik Willis. They're not going to get him at 20, so clearly this team would have to trade up. I think they're going to trade up to number 7. I think Malik Willis here is where he's going to go, the first quarterback off the board. I think, I think they like Mitch Trubisky in Pittsburgh. I think Mitch Trubisky would probably start the season and they develop Malik Willis a little bit. But I think this team is, Mike Tomlin loves Malik Willis. I think this team loves Malik Willis. I expect Malik Willis here to the Steelers. Number 8, Atlanta Falcons. I actually disagree with you. I think this is 100% going to be a wide receiver.
Yeah, I kind of realize. Yeah. I kind of. Agree.
They've got literally no one there. Yeah. I think they're going wide receiver. And, last mock draft, I had Drake London being the first receiver off the board. I'm switching it up today, and I'm going with Garrett Wilson. I think Garrett Wilson is just such a stud, and I think Drake London's great, but I think Garrett Wilson, man, I think he is the real deal. I think that, he's shown everything. I think Drake London's a superstar, but I don't know. I think they'll just take Garrett Wilson here. Just one of those things that I just have a gut feeling with. I just think Garrett Wilson's the guy. Seattle Seahawks here. This is a pick where they've got still a lot of talent left, and I think this is a home run if this happens, and that's Kayvon Thibodeau going to number 9. I think this is definitely a fall for him. I just think, I didn't feel like he fit in necessarily some of the other spots and some of the other teams. Obviously, I think the Jets would be ecstatic to get him at number 10 or even number 4. I could see the Jets picking him. And like you said, I could see Houston taking him at 3, but I think Seattle just selects the edge rusher. They're so desperate for him. Seattle, I was just looking at the roster when constructing this. It is just a total nightmare. They really do not have many positions filled out. This is a team so far from contention, and Kayvon Thibodeau is the right start. You got to build on the lines, and this team's just got to get all their picks back because, obviously the Russell Wilson trade gave them, fortunately, a lot of draft capital, but that Jamal Adams trade and other trades have cost them a lot of their picks. So this is just building back their young core. Kayvon Thibodeau, great pick. And for the New York Jets, I agree. This is a team that needs playmakers, and this is where I have Drake London going. I think this is a home run for the Jets. I think they need to absolutely take a wide receiver here. I think they do have some good guys. I do like, Elijah Moore. I think he's got a lot of young talent. I think Corey Davis is, a solid player. I don't think he's probably worth He's not a number one, but I think Drake London's got number one potential. And obviously Braxton Berrios, they do have there, who they do like lining up as, and he's a great special teamer. But yeah, I think Drake London's the pick there. And do you want me to just go with my next 5 here?
Yeah.
All right. So number 11, Washington. Obviously, this is a team that since they've traded for Carson Wentz, they're not going to take a quarterback here. They have that full salary. And I think this is the team that desperately could use a quarterback. So this is where I have Ahmad Sauce Gardner going to. I think he's a really talented player. I think he could really be an elite corner in the NFL. And I think for Washington, I mean, this team just needs some help in that secondary. I think this is a team that really could use a wide receiver too. It's just unfortunate because this is a potential not championship, but a potential, serious playoff contender roster just outside of the quarterback position, which really, hinders them and makes it hard for them to compete. I mean, they've got a lot of good players. I think Sauce Gardner here really would help, though, this defense, the secondary, which has definitely been the weak spot of this defense for recent years. Minnesota desperately needs a corner as well, and I think they would be ecstatic here to land Derek Stingley Jr. I think Derek Stingley, I mean, he definitely, since that freshman season, has struggled and his stock has dropped. I think at the beginning of the year, he was considered, top 5 pick. That's not the case anymore, obviously, but I still think he's got it in him. I think he can be a really good player, and I think Minnesota here, I mean, they've drafted, I think I was reading something that they've drafted 4 first-round corners since 2013 or something like that. And it really hasn't worked out too well for them. I think it's a great pick. And Minnesota is a team that offensively, they do have a lot of the pieces in place. They have a decent O-line and some really good weapons there. So I think Derek Stingley can help this defense. And, they improved a lot. They got, Zadarius Smith. That was a great signing for them. So excited to see what Minnesota can do. Number 13, Houston's second pick. And I agree with you. This is a team that desperately needs a defensive end, and I think Jermaine Johnson is. I mean, this is just if this Houston team could get Ikem Ekwonu and Jermaine Johnson. I mean, talk about a home run and what a start to that rebuild. I mean, this would just be sensational for them. I think Jermaine Johnson, like you said, is a player who probably will end up going higher than this. He's a superstar. With the Thibodeau drop, though, for me, it drops Jermaine Johnson to 13 for Houston. So, very, very good player, and I think a home run pick here. Number 14, Baltimore. I was tempted to go wide receiver here. I was tempted to go for like a Chris Olave here. I was very tempted to go for Jordan Davis, which I had mocked to them in the past. But I think this team so desperately needs a center. And Tyler Linderbaum, one of the best prospects at this position in recent memory, is going to be there. And, man, they just got to take him here. I mean, this is just a perfect pick. They get a franchise center for a team that, lost Bradley Bozeman in the offseason, who's, a good center, but he's nothing special. So this would give them, just a perfect rock in the center of that O-line. And lastly, the first of your Philadelphia Eagles draft picks. And I think this is the pick where they go for Chris Olave. I think pairing Olave and Devonta Smith really sets up, Jalen Hurts for the season. It really seems like they're not satisfied with Jalen Hurts. So, and I know there's definitely been rumblings of them potentially moving these picks to gain draft capital, draft a QB next year, which maybe you'll have a trade, but I don't. I have them taking 3 prospects, and I think they could really, with the board available, I think they could really hit it out of the park with some of these players and really set themselves up for success. And Chris Olave for me is the start of that. I think he's a fantastic wide receiver, and I think the Eagles at wide receiver just cannot get cute with it. I think they've tried to get cute with some of these players, try and get some of these guys who have some nice intangibles. I think they just need to take the best wide receiver on the board who's succeeded in college and been a superstar. And to me, that's Chris Olave at this pick.
I kind of want to revise one of my picks, to be honest.
All right, I'll give you a reviser if you want.
I'm gonna swap. I kind of just realized that I left Evan Neal there, so I'm gonna swap out Malik Willis with Evan Neal. To be honest. All right, so agree. I think Washington is definitely gonna take a corner here, so I'm gonna go with Sauce Gardner, and I think it's a dream for them if he makes it to 11. To be honest. I think it's almost guaranteed. And I'm also going to go another quarterback here. I'm going a little different. I'm going to go with Trent McDuffie at 12. He's another guy who's been a fast riser up draft boards for sure. And yeah, so I'm going to go with them. And unfortunately, it doesn't.
You got to trade.
I got to trade, but it doesn't allow me to trade because they're making me pay money. But I'm actually, I have the Bills coming up to get Jordan Davis here.
Huh.
Yeah, I think they want an interior lineman badly, and I think they're going to come up to get one. And I think that makes him scary. I gotta say, it makes him quite scary. So I got the I gotta just that's the Buffalo Bills right there, guys.
Okay.
It's the Buffalo Bills. And then I got back-to-back Georgia picks here. To be honest with you, I got Devontae Wyatt. I think they're going to go D-line. I think it's pretty clear at this point. The Ravens, I think they're going D-line here.
I don't know.
So Eagles really have a dream scenario here, I think. And I think Chris Olave, I actually agree with you, is going to be the first one off the board in terms of who the Eagles are going to go for. And then I've got them going with Devin Lloyd. I know they did just sign Kaiser White to play linebacker for $5 million, but I think we need another one, and I think Howie needs to spend some draft capital. And I think this is the year he's going to do it on a linebacker, even though he's been, I would say reluctant in the past is even an understatement. And I do think I think the Chargers are really mad here because a lot of what they've wanted, they want an IDL. That's what they want. That's what they want. They signed one in free agency, but I think that's what they need. And there's really not many left here. And so I think, sorry, what I'm going to go with here, Jesus Christ, I have like something stuck in my throat, is I think they're going to take an offensive lineman, actually. And I think they're going to go with Tyler Linderbaum here. And I think, like you said,
even with Corey Linsley,
they fucking signed Corey Linsley. Dude, Jesus, I'm losing it. I'm losing my mind here with this mock draft. I've been staring at prospects for too long. But yeah, all right. I'll take Linderbaum there. Whatever. We're not going to.
He can play guard though.
Yeah, he can. And I think it's possible. And then I think the Saints are going quarterback here, and I don't think there's a doubt in my mind. And I think there's been a lot of talk about that.
To a 2-year deal.
Yeah, I regardless, I think I got them taking the quarterback here. And I think there's been a lot of talk about them and Kenny Pickett. And I think that's who they're going to go with here. And then the Eagles here are going to make a pick that I'm not going to be too fond of, but I think it's going to be Boylafe from Minnesota. And he's another guy who is extremely raw. Yeah, I think it'll be
Derek Stingley to pick 20 and Charles Cross. Wow. And Malik Willis.
Yeah. Who's going to take these guys? Who are they going to, I don't see so I don't know. I don't know, Griff. I don't know.
All right. Well, the Steelers pick, I think I know what you're going there.
What do you think, Griff? Where am I going here?
Well, it seemed like you were going to Stingley there.
No, I am going to Stingley. This is I think he's going to slide badly. I do. I actually am going to stick by the Stingley thing. I think he's going to slide, and they need a corner, and they're going to take him. And yeah, I think I'm sticking behind the Derek Stingley slide. So yeah,
I like it.
Yeah.
All right. It's funny. I mean, you were the guy a week or so or two ago.
No,
you were
listen,
saying, it's a quarterback league.
I'm just saying, I don't think that, I just think, to be honest, I don't know. I think, I'm doing, predictive. I'm trying to predict. I think Derek Stingley personally is the best corner prospect in the draft. Does that mean he's going to get picked first? No,
yeah.
But
I agree. We'll see. So Philly, I actually am the same here with you. I think they'll take Devin Lloyd as well. I think Devin Lloyd's a sensational player. I think this is a home run pick. And I think, they need help at linebacker, regardless of, the bum they just signed. He can be a filler for a year, but I mean, come on, man.
That's great.
That's how, that's how you just don't compete, is by satisfying, not taking an elite player at the position because you just signed a, placeholder for a season. You got to take Devin Lloyd here. He's a great player. I actually don't even remember who I took here. I'm very curious to see. And I went with Trevor Penning here, finally, to the Chargers, which makes sense. I mean, Trevor Penning is a stud. I agree with you. I think he's a good player. I just think at this point, kind of you've had with Charles Cross, he's just in a spot where no team's going to take him for a little bit and he just falls. So that's my tackle, who slides a little bit. But yeah, I think the Chargers definitely could use a right tackle. I believe they released Brian Bulaga. So, pairing Penning with Slater and Linsley on that little line is just, setting Justin Herbert out for, so many years of success. And, I got the New Orleans Saints here. I don't think they're going to take a quarterback, if I'm being honest. I think that the New Orleans Saints are in a spot where they're not going to go QB. I think they signed Jameis, and I think that's what they're going to devote the position to. I think they're going to go with Jordan Davis here. They desperately need an interior O-lineman, and I think at this spot, you can't resist a player like Jordan Davis. I think he's just so good, and I think it's a great pick for the Saints. Number 19, back to your Philly Eagles. I believe they really need a guard, and I think they'll take the best guard, in my opinion, in Kenyon Green.
Really? You think they need? You think they're going to take a guard?
I think they're. I mean, who are their guards right now?
They have Landon Dickinson, who they love, who they took in the second round. He was great last year. He played it.
Who's their other guard though?
Herbig or Brandon Brooks. They'll play.
He retired though.
Oh yeah, he did retire.
Yeah.
Right, but they have Nate Herbig, who they like too. He's only 24.
Yeah, well, Kenyon Green, they'll pick here.
I'm
going with Kenyon Green, man. I think that Howie's always up to some stuff. You've got them taking some bummy edge rushers, so I'm gonna stick with Kenyon Green here. I think you can always use O linemen, and I think with 3 first-round picks, Philly should take one, especially with Jason Kelce retiring. I mean, Dickerson played center in college, I believe, as well for Alabama, if I'm not mistaken. Yes,
I think they want to keep him at left guard.
Yeah, but I'm saying, he's a guy who's played center, and you get Kenyon Green, and that works itself out.
You're right.
I'm going to go with Kenyon Green. New York Giants, who now will pick here because of the Pittsburgh trade. Yes, and I have them with this pick going with Devontae Wyatt, interior D-line. This is another stud from Georgia. I think that D-line is just 3 first-round picks. It's insanity. Giants could use that for sure. And, with my last picks, I have I'll talk about my first 5, and then I'll flip it to you. I have it all on one screen, though. I think 21, New England will go with Trent McDuffie. I think he's a guy who you have high up. I think a lot of people really like him. I think he just kind of falls in this spot. I think he's a good player, a very good player. And I think in New England, he'll replace J.C. Jackson, really succeed. Number 22, I got Green Bay. I think they'll go Jameson Williams. They need a difference maker, a wide receiver after losing Devontae Adams. And they've got time is the thing. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is, he signed a 3-year extension. They can kind of afford to miss a little bit of the season with Williams and work on him. So I think this is a home run pick for them. Arizona, I think, could use a corner. I'll go Andrew Booth here. Dallas, I think, could use a tackle, or not a tackle, a guard. They do have Zach Martin, but that other spot is kind of weak. And they also, they just need an O-lineman in my mind. So Zion Johnson, why not? And Buffalo, I think, needs an offensive tackle to pair with Deion Dawkins. Bernard Raymond, why not? Yeah.
All right. I will share mine. Sorry.
This is the part of the draft, though, where it becomes like a total crapshoot. It's the thing, the end of the draft. I mean, it's
all right. I think that the New England Patriots are definitely going to take an interior lineman here.
After losing Shaq. That's a good pick.
And they're going to go with Zion Johnson from New England, or from Boston College, rather. Makes sense. He's close, local guys. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm going to take them. And then I think the next 2 picks are almost guaranteed to be wide receivers. I think the Green Bay Packers are going to take Jameson Williams here. And I have the Cardinals taking Traylon Burks. If I could find him, for God's sakes. Sorry. Oh, my God, they have him so low down. Yeah. And then I have the Cowboys. If Karlaftis falls to them, Cowboys are taking Karlaftis in my estimation. So I have the Texans with this pick, hypothetically, because I traded up. And obviously, if this happens, which it won't, because I kind of thought about him.
Charles Cross at 25.
Yeah, Charles Cross to the Texans, which might even happen earlier in the draft, to be honest with you. And Malik Willis is still there, too. Jeez, you know what? What do I know? Jahan Dodson to the Texans, I think, or to the Titans, rather. I like a lot. Yeah. And I'll take Andrew Booth here to the I don't know where to put. I kind of just forgot about him. So I don't you know what I mean?
You had him at 6. And
it's not my fault. It's not my fault.
You had him at 6, and now he's at 28.
It's not my fault. It's not my fault.
You next mock draft, you're figuring it out ahead of time, and you're having your order.
Yeah. No, you're right.
Oh my
God. I'll take. I agree, or I'll go with the Ojabo pick here, too, and I think they have to go wide receiver here, and I think Christian Watson is going to be the pick. if I could find him, Christian Watson, I think, is going to be the pick out of North Dakota State. Another guy who's been a really rapid riser. And and I'm going to go. He's funny enough. He's right here with a really, really unconventional pick, but they need an edge. And he's a Penn State guy, Arnold Ebiketie. And I think he's like all these guys, like once it gets to the ends of the first round, are like guys that were like either at the top of the draft boards 3 months ago, or they were third round picks. And this is another guy who's been an extremely fast riser. So I'm going to go with him for the Chiefs here. Yeah.
You just finished the draft. You got 2 more picks. Just finish.
Yeah. I think
Malik's going to be a Lion, man.
Yeah, he is. Malik's going to be a Lion. Maybe not here. But I think I wouldn't be surprised with any pick to help for secondary reinforcements, even though they do have a great secondary. They've really spent a ton of money on that O-line. And for that reason, I don't think they're going to address it through the draft. So I'm going to go with Kyrie Lamb from Florida here to play corner. I think this is a really deep cornerback draft. Yeah. This will never happen. It might happen at the top of the draft, but we have Malik here. So
Malik
this is the final.
at 32. Wow.
This is alrighty. This is going to happen, guys. I mean, if this happens, I think. No, I mean, I do like, I think that top 3 is pretty much going to be what it looks like on draft night. Either Equana or Thibodeau, I think could be at 3 though. So those top, yeah. I like those top 2 though. So yeah.
All right. To close out my my mock draft. Wow, it's already 5:50. This episode's going late. It's okay. Awesome. It's a good episode.
Took us right to the tourney.
I know. 26. I think Tennessee, to be honest, needs a D tackle. I'm going to go with DeMarvin Leal from Texas A&M. I don't know, just like it. Tampa Bay, I think we'll go George Karlaftis. I think Dallas could use him. I mean, I don't know, man. Dallas has got some good edge rushers already. I mean, they did sign Dante Fowler, which makes me hesitant to go with Karlaftis, but I'm going to go with him to Tampa Bay. I think Kenny Pickett. I think Seattle will trade up here with the Green Bay Packers, and I think they're going to select Kenny Pickett here. I think he's a great quarterback. The thing is, we're both idiots in that these quarterbacks are going to go early in the draft. It's just the nature of the position.
No, I agree.
Malik Willis and Kenny Pickett, these guys both might end up going top 10. But the thing that makes me hesitant, I feel like a lot of teams have their quarterback situation sorted out for the season. Like, I feel like there's not that many teams that necessarily need a quarterback right now or want, like, for instance, the Houston Texans, bad team, but Davis Mills, like, they're going to try him out, so they're not going to take a quarterback. Yeah. The Lions will take a quarterback at some point, most likely. Seattle could use a quarterback, but Carolina might and Pittsburgh might, but that's like really the only teams I see going with the quarterback in this position. I mean, there's just a lot of people who that's the thing, because 5 quarterbacks last year win the first round. So that's five teams who are still in, they're not moving on yet.
I think also the fact that, like, I think we reflected in our draft position for them. I think obviously I had Malik's falling too far, but, like, I don't think these guys are, like, game breaking players. Yeah. Like, I just don't think you have even a Justin Fields caliber of prospect in this draft. I really don't. Or Zach Wilson caliber of prospect. I think, like, those guys would be the Jacksonville would be having a bidding war at 1 if that guy existed in this draft. Simple as.
Or next year's draft. I mean, if that's CJ Stroud or Bryce Young. I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
CJ Stroud and Bryce Young next year are going number 1 and 2 without a question. I think. Without a question,
I think those 2 guys are, like, Young and Stroud are the real deal. These guys, those guys are. I really want the Eagles to get one of them because Hurts isn't good enough. That's that's the crazy.
The NFL, right? This is the greatest quarterbacking we've ever seen. And that's why, like, a team like the Cleveland Browns realized, like, Baker Mayfield's obviously been there for 4 years, but they realized, like, this guy is not good enough in this day and age to win a Super Bowl. And they went out and got a guy that is. And I think we're going to start seeing, and I think, like, teams like the Eagles and the Dolphins right now are they got to see, like, I agree. I don't think Jalen Hurts can win a Super Bowl in this day and age. Like, if you put even Nick Foles is that magical Eagles year, I don't think the Philadelphia Eagles could have won the Super Bowl in this day and age of quarterbacking with Nick Foles starting.
Well, the thing with that, though,
I mean, look at the
But the thing with that,
four
though, is
quarterbacks in the final that year.
They played
Case
the great. I understand, but Tom Brady put up arguably the greatest Super Bowl performance of all time at any quarterback. 505 yards, 3 touchdowns, and they still beat him. So I agree with the sentiment about Nick Foles being the starter. I think the issue is like Nick Foles turned into Joe Montana mixed with Tom Brady for 2 games.
That's true. That's fair.
But I agree. I completely agree with the sentiment that in today, and even then, you need an elite quarterback to win, or you need a player playing like an elite quarterback to win. Yeah. I guess.
But even, I mean, that year you had Blake Bortles, Tom Brady, Case Keenum, and Nick Foles as the final 4.
That the Jags should have beaten them too. That's the crazy.
They were winning. That's the crazy thing. I mean,
that Miles Jack.
Those teams obviously had a lot of good things about other. Those teams had a lot of good things otherwise, but I mean, just the day and age of the quarterback now. I mean, it's just insane. But moving on, I'll go Kansas City. I think David Ojabo. I mean, this is just, if this happens, what a home run for Kansas City, man. I mean, they might even trade up, I think, to get him. They could trade up as early as, I think, 2021. I mean, I think this team would be in a home run position to get him. And I put Sky Moore here. I'll be honest, I don't know much about Sky Moore. I've just heard a lot of Sky Moore in the Chiefs. So I was kind of like, let's do it. Sky Moore, you're a Kansas City Chief. 31. I agree with. I mean, you went Kyer Alem. I was definitely thinking about him. I'm gonna go Roger McCreary. To be honest, I don't even remember where he went to college, but just reading about him, I think that this is a guy who a lot of people like, and I think the Bengals will go with Mr. McCreary. And Detroit, I think 32 is a pretty safe pick for a quarterback, or with their early second pick, because obviously the Jags aren't going to take a quarterback at start of the second round. But I'll go with Matt Corral here to the Lions. I mean, Matt Corral, I don't think he's good enough to do much in the NFL, to be honest. I think he's fine. So maybe the Lions trade up for a Malik Willis or even take him at 2. I mean, this draft is so weird with the quarterbacks because just none of these guys I just see as I mean, the weird thing is, like, outside of Kenny Pickett, like, I mean, I guess Matt Corral had a good year this year and they played well, but like these guys are not, like, they haven't won really in college. Like, they haven't been on.
Yeah, and it's not even that they haven't won. Like, there are good quarterbacks who don't win, like Josh Allen, but like they haven't even shown anything against top level teams at all.
Yeah.
Like when Malik played against SEC competition, I get that his coaching staff is not the par, and I understand the players that he's playing with are up to par, but he was bad against that SEC competition. I don't know. It worries me a little bit. But listen,
this is a very tough draft to predict. I mean, I have no idea when these quarterbacks are going to start going. I have no idea. I mean, I can see a situation where there's no quarterbacks in the top 10, and I could see a situation where we see 2 quarterbacks in the top 5 because of trade ups and stuff.
Yeah, agreed.
I mean, if Detroit and Carolina just say screw it and go quarterback, I mean, Matt Corral could be in the top 15. I mean, who knows?
Yeah, no, it's true. Maybe Matt Corral's taking over Kenny Pickett at the end of the day. I mean, it's crazy. Like,
Matt Corral could be the first quarterback off the board.
Yeah, he could be. I don't think I really don't understand the Malik Willis hype. I got to be honest. You know who I think is the best quarterback in this draft? Can you guess? Can you take a guess?
Is it one of the 3 guys we're talking about or no?
No, it's
Sam Howell?
No.
Who are you talking about?
Desmond Ridder, bro.
Really?
Trust me. This man is going to have a solid Derek Carr type of career. Trust me, bro. He's going to
I mean,
that's a guy that that's a very popular pick for the Lions at 32 from what I've seen.
I'm just trying to think about where these quarterbacks are going to go because, I mean, I'm looking at what teams are going to take quarterbacks in this draft. Like, I think the Lions are going to come away with a quarterback. Pittsburgh.
New Orleans, you would think. I understand they signed that Jameis contract.
Maybe in the second. I think in the second or third round, I would agree they come out with the quarterback. I mean, now we're just talking. I mean, this is so funny. All right. We'll probably continue this conversation for a few minutes after there, but this has been a long episode. So with that, I'm going to wrap this one up. That'll do it for this week's episode of Outside the Arena. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Follow us on Instagram at Outside the Arena Podcast. Follow us both on Instagram. That will be in the description. And with that, I think, honestly, next week we'll do some tournament stuff. We're going to start really previewing the MLB. We'll talk a lot of MLB. And I think we'll honestly probably do another mock draft. Maybe we'll do another mock draft probably next week.
Yeah, for sure.
We're getting close to the draft. So with that will do it for this week's episode. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you all next week.